Hello and welcome. This is your GM in the Great Barrier broadcasting from the center of your entertainment galaxy. We are back with Star Trek Adventures Aegis. Let your woes be your deadliest weapons, Part 4. This last time, the crew has set their course for the Beta Canum Venticorum system, also known as the Chara system. They are heading this way because it is the most likely place where the spoiled prince, an Orion pirate vessel, had visited after raiding and capturing a Tellarite freighter. This freighter was hauling the dangerous substance known as Kemocite, which can be used for a great many purposes, but at its highest levels of enrichment has been used for dreadful weapons in the past. Between some evidence from the that you collected from the ship and some interrogation with the crew that you have on hand, you've got at least some evidence suggesting the stolen cargo may have actually been sold to the Andorian Imperial Guard. Lieutenant Chara, your ship's armory officer and the Andorian military liaison, has her doubts, but for the time being, the crew is having to proceed under this presumption.
All circumstantial evidence.
Precisely. While they've acquired what information they could from the prisoners, they've prepared all manner of countermeasures, which we will be dealing with in a moment, and otherwise steeled themselves for the encounter that awaits. Alas, the clock for their arrival has run out. The Aegis is hoping to find the answers, the Kemocite, and if there is a central responsible party behind this, then to find them too. For while the clock has already ticked down for their arrival time, there is another one they are racing against. The deadline set by the Tellarite Admiral Dega, who can only keep his fleets from entering Earth-controlled space for so long, and if they should wind up traversing that border and come in contact with Earth ships, it raises the chance greatly for a conflagration that will engulf known space. With that, that takes us to the Starship Aegis, where the senior staff are at their stations. Most are on the bridge. I think at this point, Patel, given what we discussed last week, there was a decent chance that you might have either been working with Romanov for the advantages, or it could have alternatively been that you were completing final preparation at your console.
Yeah, I pushed Sorrel out of my chair.
Sorry.
Get your knife ears out of my freaking comfort zone.
Mr. Sorrel wordlessly heads down. He's quite content in this case, getting off the bridge as quickly as possible. He doesn't feel like he wishes to be around for what will be some Andorian hijinks. It's probably not a good idea for him to be in. He's at his comfort level with the presence of Andorians, I'd be willing to guess. Which in this case constitutes the aforementioned armory officer, Lieutenant Chara, who is now, instead of the usual choice of wearing the Earth uniform, is in the black, leathery Andorian Imperial Guard uniform. The clock is ticking off in terms of final moments before you reach the system, and
we are out of momentum too, right?
You are. So momentum has been spent to buy you a couple of advantages, one of which is about to come up as Mr. Creighton puts his fingers to his earpiece. Copy that, Commander. Commander Romanov has the report ready, sir.
All right.
And with that, he'll switch on the comms. Engineering the bridge. Impulse engines and thrusters are modulated within Lieutenant Chara's parameters, and both decoy probes are standing by for deployment, although it looks like we'll need to drop from the cargo bay. I'd say probably best to drop one at a time.
How much flight time do they each have?
It's hard to say. With as much power as we're running through them, I think I could probably give us a few hours, but it's possible. There are a few problems that could come up with these probes. If there's an improper short with the navigational system, with as much power as they're pumping to the engines, they might lose propulsion, at least temporarily. There's also the chance that if we do, or rather, if a ship does close on them, Captain, it's possible that with the deactivation protocols that we have installed, it's possible that we might not be able to reactivate them remotely. Now, I'm sending up instructions for Mr. Crichton so that we can see if that'll work, but it's a bit risky, and that's to say nothing if whoever's there doesn't pick it up.
Good to know. So they're one use essentially, with a coin flip of if activating a second time. Let's drop one the moment we lawn dart one once we get out of warp, and save the other one until we're in.
Copy that, Skipper. I can also tell you that when we do find that Kemocite, I think that we should be good to go, although if you can give me more time on that, think that we can start neutralizing it.
You have as long until we get there.
Well, I mean, we'll have to wait till we actually have the stuff to do it, because I'm basically, I don't know how much the commander's gotten to tell you yet, but we kind of figured that it's basically, if it's from what I've studied from the sample that the data Mr. Sorrel had on his sample, it looks like it's pretty much something that we could accelerate the decay on that with with exposure to gamma radiation. I've got the engineering lab rigged up so that we could process small quantities through there. It'd take a while though, but we could do it that way.
Define a while.
I mean, probably looking on the order of several hours, maybe a day. Depends on how much there is, really, and how highly enriched it is. And if you need something, I have got a couple riskier ways in mind.
Don't have much time, so might as well say them now.
All right, well, technically, if we needed to do something at a larger scale, there's a similar process we could do it, but in order to do that, I'd have to pump it into, basically, it'd have to go through the matter-antimatter reaction in the warp core, which we could render some of that more inert before it goes in, but it would actually then get pumped right into the reaction process. I'll admit I'm not entirely sure how the containment fields are going to handle it. There's a possibility it could mess with the engines, though, well, Sorrel's told me he's learned a little bit more from that last time, so we might actually be able to manage the power spikes in such a way that we could actually channel that to some additional power. We could probably do that in a third to a quarter of the time it would take for the other. The only other thing that I've got is, well, if you got a nuke, then and it's all in one place, then I suppose you could get rid of it that way. Just let me know before you do that so that I can make sure we've got the warp power to run away really fast.
I will certainly do my best to inform you. She smiles.
So, just to be clear,
we'll work our way down in case of timing.
Copy that, Skipper. Just to be clear, Romanov is providing you essentially two different ways that engineering can help out here. They would both be extended tasks, one of them considerably longer than the other. The shorter way is more likely to include complications, but with the appropriate successes could give you some actual breakthroughs or help you out in pretty significant ways. Just options to keep in mind.
Yep. She'll switch over to Sorrel. Captain to Sorrel.
Oh, I really wish you didn't talk to me right now, Captain. My player's gone right now.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Just look through the things that were that you and the lieutenant commander has discussed, making sure that everything cross your T's and I's and all that jazz.
I'll keep him in line. Don't you worry, Skipper. Romanov chimes in. You just find that stuff for us.
I am so used to Felix being here.
Felix is regrettably off this week, but we
Yeah.
wish him well. Hope everything's going okay with those events, and we'll look forward to having him back.
How dare he have a life outside of this show?
I know, right? All right. You have quite the heist. Just looking at the bridge crew, but I can't think of a better crew to scrounge up for such a daring venture. Everyone ready at their stations? She says, and as I say that, I'm going to activate my talent, which is Spirit of Discovery, and give us 2 free momentum at the burning of a determination. So we go from 4 to 0 to 2.
Yep. Here, let me
Just
call the initial bit there, and then deal back out the 2 for you. All right.
And then challenge die. Let's go. Yeah.
Hey, I got it back. That is one of the advantages that you bought between last session and this one. Or rather, those are 2 of the advantages. You have decoy probes that will assist you as you enter the Chara system. You also have a method of neutralizing them. The final one, if you want to exposit, deals with the detection element, which Patel should be more than capable of explaining at this point.
Patel, you and I have been over this practically all night. She says, can you go over it again? This time now I'm more awake and have caffeine of your detection method. At least how well it's going to work. You think it's going to work?
Well, the long story short version of it is that I've rigged the ship's sensors to work as sort of a Geiger counter. And so we'll be able to determine, even in the relatively dense part of space that we're moving through, roughly where the Kemocite is at any given time. Basically, think of it as like a what is it called? A dowsing rod or something.
Yeah.
So get a little warmer, get a little colder. And we want to be flying in the direction of the warmer, I think.
That we do. So long as we don't run into certain predators. She kind of like briefly eyes Chira.
Let that comment linger just a little bit. Connolly turns back to you. Sir, we are entering the Chara system.
All right. Fly casual, she says, but not too casual.
Look back a moment. So that means we're right. Out of warp, pleasure cruise mode. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
With that, the Aegis drops out of warp on this.
So did I come in at like a huge sin right there?
What,
Making a Star Wars reference.
Oh, hardly. If so, then Felix is definitely going to whatever hell I can put him through. Granted, he might already be convinced that I have done that and will continue to do that just because that is the sort of GM I've been. Craig may be of a similar opinion.
No comment.
Wisely done. Anyway, yeah, the Aegis drops out of warp, and as the stars cease to streak, they also become marginally less visible as you find yourselves in a haze of very light blue coloration. There are patches, and it's patchy and cloudy everywhere. Like it's very much a sort of fog in space that makes it difficult to tease out the precise, well, really much of anything. It also provides an iridescent glow that the outside would, despite the relative darkness of space, the Aegis actually seems to take on a new ambience as the hull plating reflects off the light from its surroundings.
She'll switch over to engineering. Romanov launched the first probe. Conley, turn by 30 degrees port.
In perfect synchronization, Romanov first calls out, "Probe away, launching and setting for 5-second delay on signal broadcast." Whilst Connolly says, "Aye, adjusting course 30 degrees,
Wait for it. Now.
With the mark, Connolly will fire up your maneuvering thrusters, and the Aegis will proceed on a slightly different course as you start developing. You start traveling along that acute angle from the probe. Shall I go to low impulse once the probe does, sir?"
As low as you can go without us being a little more than tugboats.
Copy that. Setting for 1/4 impulse power. Because it's a low level, I will not have you expend the power for that. But in essence, once again with the perfect sync, and I will let Connolly roll for this with just a difficulty 1 roll to help you build up the momentum. But the premise behind this maneuver is quite simple. With the two ships, or rather the probe and the ship, moving in this sync, it is the intention, was always meant for it to be something where it would appear as though the Aegis were actually a sensor echo to the probe's supposedly real ship. In that sense, it is a very clever ruse, and displaying quite the opposite for what you were trying to do. So,
Sharp is reflecting on a similar tactic that she's used several times.
oh
And
no, Connolly, why? Let's see. I think that this is a case for his value nothing Starfleet can't handle, so I'm going to allow him the reroll on that.
oh,
Oh,
my
no.
damn. All right. All right. Well, good thing we have the momentum here. We can't afford narrative right now.
I'll tell you what. I will let you buy one. Or rather, I had in mind this to be a difficulty 0 task with the idea of Connolly being able to give you something here.
Yeah.
Alternatively, well, no. I could retroactively allow you to give me 1 point of threat instead of the 2 I would take to buy that off, and that would allow Connolly to have bold con, which would allow him to roll 1 additional d20,
Would people be fine with that?
and
Yes.
technically he could also re-roll that second, or that the complication that he has scored. Just for those that are purely listening, Connolly's first roll was 2 zeros, or 2 failures, with 1 being a critical failure. The second one did yield a success, but also had another complication, which right now, as you enter the Chara zone, there isn't a complication yet on the, there isn't a complication yet, or rather an elevation of the complication range to the navigation rolls at present, but he still just keeps rolling the thing. So in any case, since the GM is having to man this character, I am going to be nice and retroactively allow use of a talent. So bold re-rolls that complication, and you get an extra die for that. I still get another point of threat, but Connolly is more than made up with that, with the use of with now 4 successes rolled on that. So very well done.
Quick question, since you mentioned power use a second ago.
Yep.
Does that reset between sessions? What?
Yes, it should actually be back up from the battle sequence.
Okay, and determination use too, right?
Yes, I am a kind GM.
Neat.
So we should be at full momentum?
Yes.
Hearing a uncomfortable noise, she will just look up at the ship and then switch over quietly to Romanov. Romanov, there's something going on with the scoops. Can you do diagnostic?
Sorry, Captain. I'm trying to correct for it right now. The Bassards are taking in a lot more alpha particles than I was expecting. Man, this soup's going to be rough on our impulse manifolds, and to say nothing of what it's probably going to do for the sensors.
Just do what you can.
So
She looks over to Connolly. You good?
I'll try here, Captain. I'll try not to give us too many bumps. The two of them are going to speak with navigation here, and try to figure out what to do. So, all right, what do you wish to do next?
She just looks over to Patel.
Wordlessly, he turns down to his console and activates the Geiger counter.
All right, this is going to be a reason and science roll, because for this to work, it will require use of your ship's main sensors in any case. This will have the assist of the ship and with the sensors and science, and you of course have the reason and science roll. For the full array of information, I'm going to rule that this will require a difficulty 4. But if you roll less than that, you will still get some information here. As predicted, as predicted here, Patel, the sensors are experiencing quite a bit of difficulty getting a readout here with all the high energy discharges and alpha particle concentrations. Effectively, this location is creating circumstances where your sensors are blunted, so your talent is the sensor talent is not doing what it normally would.
Okie dokie.
That's better than having a penalty, honestly. Further penalty.
So I'm thinking 3 momentum for 2 more dice? Question mark. Are we good with that?
Sounds good.
Sure.
I also have a reroll that I can use. So.
Yep. You did actually have a single floating momentum after that as well, so you only need to take 2 from your pool.
Yep.
Neat.
And is the ship rolling as well?
It does, with sensors and science.
Okay, I'll do that.
You may re-roll that for my technical expertise.
Yep, that talent does come into play because you are working with the ship's sensor. You're working with the ship's sensors or computer systems, and boy, does it help! So that is 6 successes there. All right, stand by. I am going to.
Can we also say, just retroactively, we're on condition red as the minute we dropped in?
Oh yeah. The moment you drop out of warp, you give the order to Crichton, and he will signal the call to action stations. So the ship will move to condition red, and
so we net back 2 more momentum.
Let's see. Yes, you effectively go back to full.
That's kind of rolls I like. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, Patel, I'm going to give you just a moment to, let's see. I'm attempting to make this visible to you. But there are, since you scored up to the maximum difficulty.
I am pumped.
Okay.
By everybody else.
So, yeah, Patel, I've just made something visible to you in the handouts. Take a moment to read that over, and when you are comfortable doing so, you may feel free to exposition dump there as you wish. The numbers I left next to it were just to indicate where you would have gotten that level of detail, but you can relay that in any order you wish.
Okay, now I gotta read.
Yep.
Yeah, some of this is not super relevant. I'm just gonna sit on. I imagine the captain is super impatient while I'm poring over sensor readings.
Oh yeah, this
you do feel eyes burning in the back of your head, but she's stiff, as I am sure, given her history. GM, nebulas like this and silent running is not a fun experience.
Oh yeah, this is the moments where Patel is running this sensor scan, eyes in the in that sort of that style of like high-powered sensor reader where he has to actually like crane down and look through a visor in order to get those precise details. One could just easily imagine the camera panning around the bridge and looking at the faces of each person as there's just the steady beep of sensor activity, much like a submarine running silent and deep, hoping not to be spotted by an opposing sub whilst also trying to find their own target. Just the in the relative dark and the way that ships of the era go to alert, the ship or the bridge has taken on a dark blue hue with the occasional bit of red lighting from an occasional bit of red flashing light, a very gentle red flashing light essentially. But yes, there's definite ambient stress across the bridge as everyone waits for something to happen, the next bit of action.
Yeah, the vague hard drive clicking sounds almost like TOS like of my little viewfinder thing as I'm looking through it.
Yes.
Okay, so Captain, I've gotten quite a bit of information about the system, despite the deep or the thick cloud cover that seems to be cast across it. The condensed version is that I'm detecting what looks like at least one Andorian vessel based on their impulse trail somewhere around the 9th planet in this system. The 9th planet is potentially habitable, but I can't really get an exact read on what sort of planetary class it would be. Definitely not what the Vulcans would call Chara class. Also detecting, and he looks over to Crichton, what looks like a high-frequency subspace band communication that's happening somewhere in the system, but I can't get anything beyond that.
Crichton, can you intercept?
Stand by, sir. Great. Is going to try to pull up the data on his own.
Could I assist with that based on my readout?
I will allow you to assist. Let's call this.
Can I give an order? Because the orders add bonuses, right?
It's basically treated as another assist, but I would say it's either you or Patel in this case. And I think insight and science would help you here, Patel, with Crichton's insight and engineering. Oops, he needs to roll 2 dice, so I'll just roll a second there. Okay, well that blows past what I had in mind. I was going to make it a difficulty 3. He will instead. I think that from the previous roll you'd already netted the 2 back. So let me get that momentum out.
Good work, Mr. Crichton.
It's not conventional comm traffic or not a signal. It looks more. Oh dear. I think that we may have stumbled upon possible bursts from what I would guess would be a network of sensor probes, Captain. It's
Have they detected us?
No sign of that, sir, but I'll admit I haven't cracked the signal yet, as it were.
Chara. She looks over to Chara. Just that sort of tone of like help out.
What do I know of Andorian sensor nets?
From the telemetry that Crichton is now sharing with you, well, obviously you can't tease out what it is specifically. You know that there would be a certain, you have a general sense of what it looks like when a probe is transmitting an all-clear signal versus an all-clear routine function type signal versus something that has pinged the ship. In this particular case, it looks as though the Aegis has not been detected, and that the probe is just sending a routine status update. It's likely in this case that the probe is having to transmit, or with the frequency that it is that because of this particular weird region of space that you are in, the Andorians might have trouble keeping track of their sensor net otherwise. It's possible these are also serving as just like dual purpose sentry probe and navigational marker.
Should be all clear, sir.
Anyway,
It seems to be given just a standard response back to whatever else is in this system.
any weaknesses we can exploit with it?
If you want to lure that ship away, trigger the beacon and drop our probe, our decoy probe, and then find somewhere to hide the ship.
At the rate it's presently moving, Captain, I think that the probe might actually trip up that sensor probe in a few minutes. Rather, our decoy should trip up that sensor probe in just a little bit, or hit that network somewhere.
Then we should find somewhere to hide the ship.
Connolly, Patel, find a nice little patch we can snuggle up in.
Okay. Patel, as opposed to another role, if you wish, I could give you an obtain information if you want places to hide.
Yeah, that's fine. I actually get two questions on that if it's an obtained information.
Indeed.
Because I am studious.
Yes, it is.
Is there a question number one? Do I find a or multiple different choices that we could hide the ship in? And what are they?
Short answer is yes. You find multiple possibilities. So, with the course that the Aegis is presently on, you are you are within range of. Basically, you could adjust your course and aim for a slingshot around the 11th planet that would take you sort of on a course. It's kind of the long way around, but it would allow you to reach the 9th planet while also obscuring at least some of your sensor trail. There's the possibility, because it slightly deviates from your course, that the sensor ghost option that you were trying to go for might, or rather, you might lose that kind of advantage with that or most other course changes. There's actually a bit of basically broken, like, not cometary debris, but like basically some isolated bits of clusters of like water, ice, and like the sort of material you'd expect to find in a system's Oort cloud that you could hide out among and temporarily obscure your sensors. Otherwise, most of the other targets are deeper in the system.
Question number two, which of those two options it does the best job of obscuring us from detection?
Fair enough.
Touche.
Both options have their advantages. With the option, that first option, it does get you closer to the planet. It also does allow you to sort of erase your signature for a prolonged period of time. The magnetic field of the 11th planet will hide your impulse signature. It does, however, mean giving up, some of the advantage that you have in terms of like being the sensor ghost, as it were. On the other hand, it also does put you near not just where you picked up signs of a ship, but you may notice that there was a... Oh dear, did I not include it in that? Let me double check the readout. Oh, that faint energy reading I was alluding to, that radiation was actually a Kemocite readout. So that is actually where you are detecting, the 9th planet is actually where you were detecting signs of possible Kemocite from an orbital site.
Got it. Okay.
So that it would put you closer to your objective. The other option, You also do lose the sort of sensor ghost option, but it gives you. They could immediately dismiss that, like once the if they were to get into close range of the navigational probe, then your disappearance would very likely coincide with their readout on its automatic shutdown. So it'd be something to where they might decide, oh, we're just chasing an echo and then run back.
Okay, so Captain, I relay everything the GM just said to you. Yeah. Also about the Kemocite thing. So it's like one really good option and one sort of option.
Yeah. All right. Let's do. Let us do the first option.
All right. Connolly says, "Okay, I'm setting a course this time. I've got no determination left, and yeah, this.
Use the momentum, Connolly.
Okay, I should say I've got bold con if that counts for anything.
No, Connolly.
But
It
not
does.
right now.
But it allows him to re-roll.
Fine. Go for it.
Okay, diverting threat to the GM, and he is going to take that extra roll, and I'm just going to take the threat that he acquired and spend it for an increased complication range. But who needs that when he's got 4 successes right on the board? Jeez. So yeah, that's an easy momentum top off plus some floating here. So with that, Connolly is going to, well, actually more like with the course you're plotting. Let me look back at my notes. That was a difficulty 3, so that just gives you back a full pool of momentum. Connolly scored 4 successes there for those just listening in. The ship can also roll with engines and con to assist.
Okay. Oh, engines and con. Hey.
All right, now you have a floating momentum. So, using the information that Patel and Crichton are providing on the vague bits of transmission, Connolly is running the very counterintuitive measure of navigating around the navigational buoys in order to do his best to avoid them. Whilst all of this goes on, the ship moves along quietly, as quietly as it can at impulse power, taking advantage of the alpha particles to try and hide its signature as best as it can. Meanwhile, I think that the first potential readout could come from the probe network, which Connolly starts to report. So let's see how the ship does in terms of spotting it.
Was the 0 us?
No, that was from the. That was actually from the. That was from another ship. Captain, navigational sensors detected. I'm still kind of tying into some of the main telemetry. I think there was a larger impulse burst from near that 9th planet, so they're checking course now.
Any identification yet? Which looks sort of Patel, Chara, Crichton of the ship.
Nothing that, well, unless the lieutenant could recognize something more, nothing I'd be able to say for certain, sir. Frankly, I don't know that we want to. What is the?
I don't want to give any scan. Simply the amount of power. Identifying from the amount of power or profile of the engines.
Connolly will chime back in. Well, I can tell you this much, sir. It's probably a ship comparable to our own. At least in terms of overall scale of that engine power. Like if I were
Thank
to put it on a scale of starships and say that ours was a 3, I'd say this ship is also a 3.
Nice of you to rate the scale as a mere 3, she says. I'm sure she appreciates it. She says the
What
small
what
ones
Imperial
will small.
Guard ships would rate as a 3? Would Shira know?
Well, certainly the mainline cruisers of the era definitely rate that way. The Kumaris, the Karlvors. Um, I think that even I don't remember what I've ruled on the light cruisers that they are not light cruisers, but the frigates of the day. Trying to recall that class name right now. Ooh, what was it? Sorry, I'm trying to remember my space frames. No good.
I'm sorry for putting you in a spot.
So
It's just
there's hold on. So you've got the Calvor cruiser. Then there's a oh god, I don't even pronounce it. Cephagene light cruiser, Tar Holsin destroyer, and a Tan at Hoof
I think,
frigate.
yeah, I think that once you get into the frigates, that probably runs down to a scale 2. Though, partly, I'm going off a little bit the equivalence with what the Utopia Planitia book describes, which, for all those interested in this game and interested in Star Trek Adventures in general, allow me to recommend the Utopia Planitia source book for Star Trek Adventures. Modiphius put it out back in the fall. It is a wonderful ship that details not just different Starfleet vessels from eras going as early as Enterprise up through the 25th century, getting into the ships that show up in Picard or Star Trek Online. But it also tells you kind of how to build those ships. So, just in terms of tonnage, some of those light ships are similar to the warp deltas, the Ganges class of the era. They're obviously newer and more powerful in terms of their weaponry, but um, even those ships, as far as Utopia Planitia is concerned, fall into the scale 3 level. So I think that pretty much everything but the couriers probably fall in that category. It describes a kind of a wider brush. The difference really between the ships is more stat distribution for their capabilities. So something like a Kumari or a Karlvor is going to have more put in terms of like staying power as well as weapons.
yeah.
So the point is, you would at least have a good sense. I suppose if you wanted to try and roll for it, then you might be able to figure something more precise or use the momentum to ask the question. Otherwise, I'd say that.
We do have a free momentum.
Oh.
Let's use that. Sure.
Yeah. Can Shira work out what class of ship it is?
I can give you a very close range.
Okay. It's likely to be a cruiser of some description.
It's just nonsense.
Right.
Thank you, Shara.
So, the Aegis is, well, as you try your best to analyze what happens, a lot of this is going to be prolonged bits of silence during the subspace, or rather during the sublight hauling that you have to perform here. Connolly is keeping the engines a bit lower, which adds some time to your transit. But as you continue, Connolly sees that the reports. Sir, we're closing on the 11th planet of the Chara system. Looks to be a gas giant. I have the slingshot maneuver set here.
All right, let's bring ourselves even more silent running. Huh? Start the slingshot maneuver. Romanov, I have an idea. I need you to launch that probe towards the star of the system. Make it a nice controlled, slow but disintegrating orbit on the sun.
Oh, okay, Skipper. I can do that for you. Stan.
Can you? How long out of character? Because I've been a sailor for a space sailor for quite a while. How long would it take for us to get to the 9th planet and do our business versus this probe getting if we blind fired it right now to get toward near the sun?
So, is that presuming that you maintain your low impulse power speed and like, or would you be punching up the engines at all in order to get there a little faster, or would you even be using less
Low.
engine power, or like switching to
Probably
thrusters?
probably just a little less, like an eighth impulse. Some enough.
Well,
If we try to get as quiet but as smooth as possible, I just don't want to launch something well inside the sensor net because that's gonna get caught.
yeah. So the impulse engines, well, let's see. With the slingshot maneuver that you're using, it could actually give you a little bit more speed, even if you cut the engine power a bit. So you
Mm-hmm.
could probably even out. That probe is still probably going to be moving about as fast as you are, so it would probably travel close to the same distance, maybe a little less by the time that you reach the 9th planet. Obviously on a different trajectory.
Okay. Romanov, I don't want this activated and put this profile into its database. And I will put in the profile of a Klingon battlecruiser in there.
Yep. Romanov looks at this. Like there's a moment where the data transfers down and Romanov starts reading it. Uh, Skipper, what?
We only need to fool them just for a few minutes. If this is our panic, this is our hopefully our plan B to get out of here.
We've only got minutes to do this. Oh man, this would at least be a couple momentum to get this advantage to work to simulate a battle cruiser like this for like
You have 10, and I'll give 2 momentum. I want
oh
to make sure if guys are fine with that, I want to make sure that we have some plan Bs. You okay, guys okay with it?
Yep.
I don't like a rush
Yep.
job, but I'll get it done for you, Skipper. So with that, yeah, um, Romanov is going to hurriedly get to work and make the signature sound that much uglier. Um, let's see, as Connolly prepares his maneuver, there's going to be some concurrent tasks here. So for Connolly to properly, um, going to say that with the first task you are in position for that slingshot maneuver, he is going to have one more opportunity to basically fire off the braking maneuver and allow the ship to get on its corrected course.
Ship wind. Everyone prepare for a high velocity turn. Make sure everything is secure and quiet as possible.
All right. Approaching the turn now, sir. As he says this, the Aegis, which is moving at, while still sublight speed, is moving exceptionally fast. On the view screen ahead of you, a large, dark planet looms ahead. Something that while reflecting a bit of the ambient light, is still far enough out from the binary stars of this system that it doesn't take in it doesn't reflect too much off. But it continues to grow and grow and grow in the view screen until it becomes less an object ahead and more a feature, as the Aegis is nudged into an orbit that, instead of setting it to collide, runs it almost to the point it feels like of skimming the atmosphere. Connolly runs has his hand on the throttle and looks over the navigational displays, coordinating with the ship's navigator. Right. Captain, I could give you the mark here, but with your permission, I might just gun this once I...
Just do it.
Copy that. Executing turn in 5, 4...
She looks to Patel. Exhale right now.
I'm gripping my console.
3, 2... Executing. Oh my god.
Someone certainly executed.
God damn it. Okay, get 2 more momentum. Or actually, bold it. Just bold it.
Very well. So dealing the GM the 1 threat for that, and...
Connolly always now should bold everything he does with flying.
No, because when you guys all bold at the same time, it becomes 10 threat suddenly, and I'm having heart palpitations.
Rolling the extra 1 plus the re-roll. Okay,
always bold.
That gives him what you need. With the engines and con may also assist, but that is enough to succeed for now. So, Mark, with that, the Aegis, it begins to groan a little bit as it makes a close pass by the planet. Maybe the sense that for a moment there, Connolly might have been actually skimming the atmosphere a little bit more. You don't have the benefit, Captain, or rather you don't have the potential terrifying prospect of looking over a navigational sensor right at that moment. Patel
also,
was...
I'm a Mako. I fall from the sky.
Yep.
Half the time.
Patel hopefully wasn't looking at the sensors to know exactly how close Connolly got.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, in that case, the exhale command was really helpful. But yeah, with a small micro correction, the Aegis breaks from its the original course it was on, and then manages to plot its course, rather break from the planet's gravity as it slingshots around and is back into the relatively open space of the Chara system. Easing down impulse engines to 1/8 level. This should sustain us for the time, sir.
She'll get up from her captain seat, both to stretch and approach Connolly and rub his shoulder. You did good.
Oh, very good, sir. Thank you, sir. Oh, and well, that he'll look over his sensors. The navigational readout, that impulse turn, the last impulse turn from that other vessel, whatever they are,
Mm-hmm.
They seem to be in a fairly wide arc from us, so they're still probably trying to get a read from that probe. They might be in just as much trouble as far as this soup goes as we are.
She'll just nod and sit back down. Good. She looks over Batel. Are you alright?
Oh yeah, it's doing great over here, Captain.
Do you need a napkin just to wipe your brow?
At this point, he's got one like installed somewhere at in his console.
There's a zipper, one of the zipper pockets on his jumpsuit
Oh,
just
yeah.
has an emergency thing.
A little handkerchief.
Yep. Yeah. I can only imagine how the doctor's managing all of this with the ship inexplicably rattling and groaning at moments.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess he's not. Well, he's more used to being on ships now. But it wouldn't. Well, no, I guess he has. Actually, no. He's been on some rundown, rickety ships that
Yeah, but
have
big cruisers don't
moaned
go to 5
a
gravity
lot.
or anything like that.
Yeah, so this isn't unusual for him, I guess. It's maybe a little worrying that it's this ship that's making that noise, but yeah, I think he's just trying to get on with things as usual.
Checking all shoot us supervisor. Checking all stations, make sure there's any needs for repairs or that everyone is still walking about.
It is also worth noting, if you're during that time that elapsed, if the your wish was that the probe launched before you got in range of the planet, or
Yeah, before we got in range of the sensor grid, like right before.
okay, then the probe would have started its launch. But to be clear, you didn't have it activate right at that time. It was
No,
more.
I wanted to dead drop it so that way when it ends up near the sun, it can activate on a timer and look big and scary.
Okay.
So that we can so that way they are much more concerned about the Klingon battlecruiser than whatever just happened. And then we can just leave.
Copy that.
But I also want it in an orbit where it could probably stay there like an hour or two, or 6 before just the sun pulling it in.
It's going to take much longer to reach the center of the system or to hit either one of the binaries, but it will activate on a timer. Otherwise, it will require remote activation in order to beat the timer, basically.
Sure.
Okay, so a few more minutes are going to elapse on this course. But it is relatively quiet sailing before the ship arrives there. I'd say if there's any other task or any other thing that you want to attempt during this process, you may do so. Or even a small bit of interaction.
She'll just look to Chara and look at Patel, because those are the biggest concerning individuals right now. Patel because Patel, and Chara because this is, now that we know it's definitely Andorians, this is certainly a lot more stressful. But she's just examining the bridge and people on the bridge, weighing in on the morale.
Patel's good. You can tell he's whenever he has a little episode like this, it seems like he's been coming back to his normal self quicker each time, very, very slightly.
Yeah.
Finally getting those space legs.
He's got it down to just under 15 minutes now.
It doesn't require a barf bag anymore.
Just another couple hundred times. He'll be fine.
Don't worry. This season's not over yet. How's Shira doing?
Chara just appears to be getting on with her job.
Okay.
It is an interesting change, or well, how interesting it is ultimately to you, but I'd say it's a noticeable change to have the one member of the crew out of the uniform that she's been in for what's been the entirety of your service on this ship. Every other day, She is thrown on the Earth jumpsuit with the 2 gold lieutenant's pips and the mission patch of the Aegis. The shield which has the shield, the symbol of stars amongst it, and the fleet motto, or rather the ship motto, I believe it is Classis Scutum, or roughly Latin translating to shield of the fleet.
She'll just give a soft smile toward Chara because, yeah, that's certainly a surprise, but still looks good on her. So, I imagine it's still very sharp, right? Great.
It's a standard Andorian Imperial Guard combat uniform.
Yeah, but it's spotless, right?
It's very clean. Hasn't been worn much over the past few months, but got her little rank insignia on the shoulders and a fairly grey dull patch on the arm indicating what unit of Imperial Guard she's in.
I will take one moment to note outside of this. There has been a posture check spend, and I have been so thoroughly schlumped into both looking over my own notes and listening to what you had that I needed that.
Yes.
Oh,
and a hydrate too.
Yeah, don't forget to hydrate.
Drone insists I must drink something
the
that's
alcohol?
Probably for the best. Oh no, my drink is. I've exhausted all drink here. I must get something new.
Get the blood wine.
Yes, the blood wine.
Yeah, and then she'll look back to the view screen and just give a very quiet prayer, just mostly moving her mouth than anything else, as she says, I know you are out there, and we've done well so far, so Athena, please guide us the rest of the way.
As you implore that, the relative silence takes over the bridge as there's just the routine beeps and other signals from the consoles, broken by the other person who has nerves. Would anyone like refreshments?
I love it. I love this quad loop function. It's great.
Yes. And yes, toxic fan base. I see how you care. And all of chat. Thank you all. Anyway, as the minutes pass by and I take a quick sip of the drink that I've acquired.
Prune juice.
A different warrior's drink, actually. At any rate, Connolly looks at his navigational sensors and starts making minor course corrections. Captain, we're approaching the 9th planet of the Chara system. I think there might be something out among the rings of the planet there. I don't know. I'm having a lot of trouble with it.
Patel.
Reason and science, Patel. Difficulty of 2.
And momentum.
Just a second here.
Of course. The ship will also assist with sensors and science.
What was the difficulty again?
Difficulty of 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna spend 1 momentum.
Go for it, my dude.
Easy peasy.
Nicely done.
Ship helped.
So I guess nice. I didn't need to take it out. You guys got to put it back in. So I get 5. I get a total of 5 now.
So Patel, cutting through as much of the sensor interference as you can, helped greatly by your roll from earlier in the session. You managed to screen through both the high concentrations of alpha particles and planetary debris amongst the rings to identify a large metallic mass on that on the current bearing that you're in, or very slightly off, hiding in an orbit amongst the planet.
That's interesting. He says aloud, and then I boop on my console some more. It looks like I'm detecting a Tellarite ship now in the system. It seems to be a freighter. And I'm going to pull up my Geiger counter program and compare the two results to each other.
The readout, if it were the Geiger counter, you would be greeted by a loud buzzing.
And Captain, it seems to be that is the source of my my detection of the Kemocite.
Double check. All right. Any other defenses around it? Any communications?
It is worth noting here, first, as you've succeeded at this, as a science officer, that should entitle you to one free question, which counting Studious effectively gives you two, plus you have the floating momentum here, so I will give you that immediately. There are no signs of any orbiting, other sort of orbiting defenses, or much other activity in the among the planet rings or by the freighter.
Okay, so two questions. Does that the free info that you just gave me already include the fact that there's like no other ships near the freighter? Like, is the freighter alone? He would ask if he had a question that wasn't actually a question.
I will give you that. Yes.
Okay. How many life signs are on the freighter?
It's difficult to make out, but it looks like there might at least be 6 life forms on board, or 6 biosigns.
Do I have? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Would you like me to do that, or would you like me to ask if I can get an ID on the ship, like a name and a registry and all that? Because that would have been my number 2.
We don't really need to know what it's called.
You do also
no,
have
do that.
floating momentum from that last roll, so you...
Yeah, well, I just drew it up, so it's back up to 5. So we'll spend a momentum. Because we only got 2 momentum from that, right? It was a difficulty 2.
Yes.
I'm double checking the math.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
no, that's
difficulty.
right. Sorry.
Yeah.
GM brain. Now the channel points are coming
I'm
in.
making sure my math is right, you know, because sometimes 2d20 system can be a bit of sorcery. I'm surprised you get all the stuff straight some most often than not. Okay, have momentum. We can ask both.
Okay. I'm just thinking, like, the reasoning metagaming a little bit, but the reasoning behind my asking that is so that we have a record. Like, if for whatever reason there's like a faction of Tellarites that are doing this against the rest of the Tellarites' wish, that we identify the freighter.
Yeah.
For
also, the Andorians could have scalped another Tellarite freighter. We have to make sure it's the one we're looking for.
So, in total, so we have the 6 life signs on board. Can we tell, like, are they all Tellarite? Is there a mix? What are they? And then question 2 is, what's the identity of the ship?
So I'm going to rule that as part of the biosigns question, the interference that you're encountering is still enough that it doesn't tell you specifically what they are. And then, wait, the second question that pertained to the type of or like the registry question or anything that you could read out on the ship beyond that it was a freighter. Was that correct? I kind of missed that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. There's
and if it matches our the info we've gotten from the Telray Admiral.
Yeah. So at least in terms of composition or like design of the freighter, it matches with what little information Dega has provided you. There's some points that you can't compare because a lot of these systems on the ship are not presently active. It seems as though the freighter just it's only emitting enough power to suggest that it's running basic environmental systems. So life support, artificial gravity controls, environmental controls, that sort of thing. Um, Main engines are not active, nor is much of anything else. This is sort of bare minimum for people to work on the ship without having to wear any sort of gear, basically.
Okay. Yeah, relay that information.
Yeah. So, going to that point, no signs of any transponders or active engine signatures that you could compare.
Okay.
But we can't like tell if they're damaged versus just like trying to lay low, I assume. Like just by all accounts they're not expending power, period, for whatever reason.
Yeah,
Besides like the critical stuff.
pretty much.
All right.
Should we close the distance with it, Captain? They might not be looking for us.
Romanov, how close do we need to get for the initial plan?
Well, Captain, I mean, really either way, we kind of need the Kemocite on board the ship in order to work. Short of the nuclear option, there isn't actually a way that I can render that Kemocite inert without putting we don't have anything that could project the type of gamma radiation bombardment in a contained fashion that would actually work. Not I mean, part of it is the Kemocite. In most cases, it's going to be in shielded containment systems anyways. So, like, we couldn't pump it through the main deflector without the Kemocite being out in space and mostly unexposed.
All right. She kind of just rubs the bridge of her nose and her eyelids a little bit.
Don't know what you're feeling.
She gives that gives a small smile. All right.
Oh, what you would give for a photon torpedo right now.
Right?
No, 6 people on board that thing.
Do we still have the profile of the freighter in our database, right, Patel?
I'm gonna assume that's a yes, probably GM.
Yep.
Right? Yep, we do have that information still on file, Captain.
And they are running just in the bare minimums, correct?
Reading life support and gravity systems online, temperature control. That would be pretty much bare minimum.
Can we? How big is the life support and gravimetrics and gravity systems?
I mean, the general layout would be that there might be a few sort of central hub locations, but there's a lot of like atmospheric bottle areas that like help contain and regulate it throughout the ship. So I imagine that there's quite a bit of redundancy for that on most ships. But you could target a central node and possibly disable some sort of central regulator if that's what you're aiming. If you are planning on firing on a ship.
No. I plan.
You remember that episode of Voyager where the Doctor ends up on the Prometheus, which has just been taken over by Romulans, and he and the EMH Mark II or 3 there put some kind of gas out which knocks out the Romulans.
That's actually not a bad idea. Actually, thank you for the suggestion. She will. Who's my Mako? Outside me. Actually, you know what? I'd ask Shira on this. Shira, how much of riot control gas do we have? Deterrence.
How much?
Tear
How
gas.
much right can?
How much tear
Riot?
gas do we have?
I mean,
Or whatever sci-fi equivalent it is.
Starfleet security generally isn't in charge of that.
Damn.
That would be the
Medical.
anesthetine stockpile would probably be handled in sickbay.
We need to speak.
All right.
To our
Yeah. All right. Then let me redact retcon what I said, and I'll switch over to medical. Doctor, how much Nesicine gas do we currently have? Or rather, any tranquilizer or equivalent that we could put into a environmental system that
Well,
wouldn't
we've
harm
got
the
a fair
patients?
bunch of anesthetics, and
Your expert
yeah.
opinion, Doctor.
Sorry.
I prefer your expert opinion on how best to do this.
Well, let's see. If we pipe some, like, we can just, yeah. I mean, we can get some gas in, but the problem is it will probably be in too low a dose, and it might get noticed before it can have its proper effect. Obviously, some kind of more direct application of an anesthetic or of a general anesthetic would be better, but that's probably less feasible. Can I do a check or something to see if?
She knows she
Yeah.
knows you've done a list. You have quite the
Oh yeah,
culinary skills when it comes to chemicals. So she's
yeah,
like,
he can
hey,
definitely cook up some
Yeah.
stuff.
Uh,
Actually, yeah, he could probably boost the take a mixture of general anesthetic gas stuff and combine that with a few other things to, yeah, I guess create a cocktail that will knock people unconscious, but also make them, like, if it's going to take a while, lace it with enough drugs to make them not realize that it's knocking them unconscious or whatever. And also, I guess something that's going to be harder for the system to detect as like a pathogen or as interference.
yeah. If you want to roll on that, doctor, I'll give you, let's say, a reason and medicine roll, and we can call this a difficulty of 1.
Okay, and this is to basically figure out what I need.
Yeah, just helping you if you if you want to test your options here or figure out how you would modulate it precisely. Just something nice and simple to help give you the extra push there. And you can be assisted by the computers and medicine because you'd have the ship can assist you with computers and medicine.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll just make that roll then. So that's 2 successes there.
Yep, so that'll give you 1 momentum back. And we'll adjudicate momentum more completely after the ship rolls, but what you're basically running through what you have in the computer systems, something like anesthazine with with a proper composition or some other gases would probably have the intended effect. It actually, when you start comparing your notes on Andorian physiology, because of
Yes.
their higher metabolism, which you would know having done a few checkups with Chara already.
Yeah, it would affect them faster
Yep.
than it would
The,
to a human. Okay.
yep. So the key question, it seems, is basically finding a good life support node to administer this to. Is like in the sick bay, for example, there is kind of a master environmental control, or there's access for something like that. Um, where it's been
Is
used in the past to help like on other ships to administer something really quickly like that.
right, but that's something we know about. Is that something we know about their ship, or just our one? Or is it
I mean,
reasonable to
we
assume
have
that all sick bays would have that?
we
Or
It'd
do
have
we
be
have deck plans?
schematics.
it'd be more of a guess as far as exactly how their layout is, just because you haven't worked with Tellarite technology or not their medical systems before.
Hmm.
The information that you have on the ship, just for the record, is enough about like a few
just
very general
identifying it.
readings. Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, okay.
Dega didn't provide you blueprints of the freighter or anything like that.
That's fair. Okay.
But it is a fair guess that most ships of the era probably have a similar function or functionality with their sick bays.
Yeah, okay. So we could assume that sick bays can have life support stuff attached to that, so we just need to target there, and then that'll let us distribute the gas throughout.
All right.
Yeah, so I think I can. Yeah, I can cook something up. Given Andorian physiology, that should make it a bit easier. Actually, we just need access to their life support bay so that we can hook up the gas to that and pump it through the system. That, or we need some other method of distributing the gas.
Something like a canister or something could do the trick. If you just beat
Yeah,
it with it.
so we could use some kind of canister or like a grenade or a device for deployment within a room, but it will be hard to make that spread out through the whole ship.
It'll be unlikely that they have anyone in that med bay.
That is, if we know where the med bay is.
Well, I think we can make a good guess. Like, there's general. I've been on a lot of ships, and usually the med bay is in roughly the same place because it's an important thing to have, and you need to have access to everywhere in the ship, particularly if it's got life support systems embedded in it, which most do. So it tends to be somewhere fairly central, or there's not too many places you can put a sick bay in a ship.
True enough. Can it be transported, or does it need? Does the application need to be applied manually?
Well, we could, in theory, if I was to get into the, yeah, I don't know if we can just like beam it over, but we don't necessarily need to bring the canisters with us. I imagine their sick bay will probably have enough. Like I could make a knockout gas out of pretty much
Can you
whatever
make a
we've got
knockout
lying
gas?
around in spares.
Can you make a
So
knockout? I don't want to risk that. Can you make a knockout gas here? And
yeah,
for, all right, Chara, I know I'm asking a lot, but I'm going to transport you into the med bay, and you need to apply this to the system.
I mean,
I'm welcome to escort the doctor. I don't think I'm the best qualified person to hook such a thing up to the life support systems. I'm happy to go across with the doctor so the doctor can do it.
Fair enough.
I mean, I could handle it on my own. Like, I'm not that incompetent.
No,
Nothing of the sort, Doctor. Get your EVAs. Get over to the locker and get yourself an EVA suit. Chara, she just gestures through the door.
Right, I forgot about the EVA suit part. Yeah, I can do that though.
The moment that the mixture is installed, signal one beep or signal two beeps, and I'll teleport you back.
Roger that.
Well, she was saying that more than Chara.
Yeah, I'll do.
All right.
So does that mean no matter how many beeps I do, I'm not coming back? We need to wait for Chara to.
You can hear it too, but she is the one in, she has rank and this security officer.
I'm amused because technically Dr. Lambeth is of equivalent rank, and he is also the one proper Starfleet officer on this mission.
Who knows? Who knows who's in charge?
Oh God, he is technically. That's a horrifying thought.
There you go. Orders given.
Okay. So, with that,
Get us close to exactly maximum range of transportation, Connolly.
aye, sir. Taking us in now. The Aegis, on course to the ninth planet, has arrived in orbit, and finding yourselves out amongst the rings of this planet they are approaching. First off, you are getting a bit of a better readout as you approach. It is a mostly from the distance that you're coming in, it appears to be a mostly white, maybe slightly green marble. A lot of that is cloud cover, but a considerable portion is also snow cover, which seems to permeate the planet. Chara 9, as you can determine, appears to be a fairly cold and, for most of the crew, unpleasant planet.
Planning my holiday there already.
Yeah. Very much a sort of tundra world where much of the equatorial band, such that it is relatively warmer, seems to just basically have like long stretches of permafrost on the places where it would sustain the moisture and ground terrain. There may be a few desolate patches of barren rock that might have been desert on a different part of the planet, but it's more just the ambience there would be more foggy and, well, I suppose not exactly fog, but it would be like just barren, dry, and very cold. But for larger portions of either hemisphere, it is considerable snow cover and a lot of very dense clouds in different areas. The orbit that you're approaching has the freighter orbiting on the rings below the planet's southern hemisphere, so it is maintaining what seems to be an orbit, taking it in a relatively stationary position. The rings are, as you can tell obviously from the visual, quite remarkably dense for something of the, or for a planet of this, well, for the planet, it's there's a lot of finer dust particles, but there's also still a considerable portion of larger rocks that have not yet either broken free of the orbit or been decayed by collisions over time, which is much the fate of most planetary rings. The freighter itself, as the Aegis closes the distance, has not made any signs of dissipating or breaking up any further. So it is in this moment where Captain, you find, the Aegis arrives in position. Chara and Dr. Lambeth are both moving down to the transporter room and getting ready as you approach the best, or like the optimal range to execute that. During that process, there will also be one more roll from the other craft in the system. They've steadily been moving closer as they get some sort of readout on the site of the probe. So let's see how they do. Oh wait, I spent a threat to buy that extra die there. Oh dear. Okay, we'll resolve that shortly. Anyway, Captain is, yeah, the Aegis is entering orbit. Connolly is bringing it in, and you are approaching transporter range of the probe now, or the freighter now, rather.
Mm-hmm. She will, through the communications, she'll tell the away team, get in, install, get out.
Understood.
I'm not planning to take any pictures.
The two of you down in the transporter bay are with the ship's transporter chief, Chief Jemison, who is trying to input target coordinates as best he can. Based on that last readout we have, I'm placing you as near to the sickbay as I can. There might be some signs of internal damage near there, so I'm putting you relatively close to what might be one of their support nodes. So this should hopefully keep you clear of any of those, any of the people on that ship.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Good luck, Lieutenant. Doctor.
And Doc, let's refer to each other only by rank while we're on board. No,
Understood.
I imagine Shira's also wearing an EVA suit, right? Just so you guys don't get knocked out by your own drugs.
Oh yeah.
it
Right.
might be a good idea.
Especially since these ones are going to be tailored for Andorians.
Quick question, Shira, are you just bringing the phase pistol along, or did you want to pay an escalation cost and bring the rifles?
Just the pistol.
Very good. Okay, so Chief Jemison is going to attempt to beam you over. This will be control and engineering with a difficulty of 3, since you are beaming from a transporter pad to not a pad. The ship...
Yeah, he needs momentum.
Okay. With your permission, he will take a point of momentum. Also, he has the technical expertise talent, which means that since the ship is assisting, I don't think that transporters are either sensors or computers in this case. Allow me to double check my space-based tasks. Transporters, that is control and engineering. Assisted by sensors and engineering. So, yes, he will get to re-roll any whoopsies here. So, we won't be coming back with we won't be coming back with Lieutenant Yulin.
Oh god.
All right, so 1 momentum to go there, and rolling 3 d20s, he scores 2 successes there. Somebody could roll sensors and engineering for the ship. Okay, I'm going to... Well, that's good enough. If you would like the momentum back, I can try to re-roll that 0. Otherwise, we can just take these successes and go ahead. Oh, no. Oh, dear.
What?
The chat has just spent... We've gotten our first 5,000 quatlus put into the game, and there has been the decision to create a complication.
God damn it.
So the transporter will succeed, and you will begin to beam yourself in. Rather, Chief Jemison will begin to beam the two of you in. As you do, from your perspective, Shira, Dr. Lambeth, the bright lights of the transporter bay begin to, or rather, the lights begin to brighten in the transporter bay around you as the beam takes hold. And there is that, I guess it's really not that familiar to you, that typical curtain of light effect, but this is something that many in the audience would know. This is what you get with the perspective of the transporter beam. And in that moment there, everything goes bright and like it's not a uniform light. There's this sort of particle effect playing through your eyes as you are disassembled, transmitted in a data stream, and sent through the beam. As you come out of that, however, you find yourselves in view of an unfamiliar ship, which you would expect to be the freighter, but it seems as though the coordinates were not quite right, for when you notice what should have been an empty hallway has two figures now occupying that look to the beam with some surprise at the two people beaming in, and they're reaching for weapons now. Do you elect to do
Yeah.
any? Do you elect to react? I will say that as you are beaming in and you are capable of moving, you still have a moment with which one of you could act if you so wish.
What's the canister that we've brought with us? Like, how usable is that? Like, we wouldn't be able to just like turn it into, like, roll it down the corridor and release a bunch of stuff.
I mean, if you wanted to
out.
just crack the seal and let it release here, then that would be viable in order to release it in like a short range sort of effect. It might diminish it in terms of what you can release into the life support system, but
Yeah.
This is kind of it would be a bit of a Hail Mary move that would save you in this immediate circumstance, but would possibly prevent you from being able to repeat that, or it might complicate your effort to unleash it in the whole ship.
Yeah, well, I think then I've got to just like go for cover and trust Chara to deal with them.
Okay.
I'll. Okay. But.
So as the doctor like leaps to the side and out of the way, they're definitely going for their particle weapons now. Your choice. What do you wish to do?
Okay. Let's draw and shoot him.
Okay, you will have the opportunity to take a shot at one of them. I'm presuming that your phase pistol is obviously set to stun here.
Yes.
Okay, so you aim to draw on at least one of them here. This will be, as you enter combat, control and security with a difficulty of 2.
Okay, control security difficulty of 2. I will give you a point of threat for an extra dice.
Very well, I will take that.
Let's have a look over here. I have Dead Eye Marksman. The character spent time at a target range every day working on their aim. When the character takes the aim minor action, which I will, they reduce the difficulty of their next attack by 1 in addition to the normal effects of the aim action, minor action.
Okay, which
So
the
that's-
aim minor action will allow you to re-roll a d20 if it is if you should decide to.
Excellent, good. So this is now a difficulty 1 shot with 3 dice. And I've got focus with handheld particle weapons.
Yep.
Good. I won't need to re-roll anything there.
Yep, 5 successes on that strike, so that will give you that will refill your momentum, sending it back to full. I should just say this complication comes courtesy of a member of the Broken Sword crew, so do with that as you will.
There will be vengeance.
There will be vengeance.
There will be vengeance. Yeah.
There are at least 2 people that in this crew that are awake during that time, so
Just remember, Broken Sword. I am also watching our own stream here, and I'm close to 5,000 points myself. So just.
Yep. Alas, the gauntlet has been thrown, and that challenge will come later.
Yeah. So.
But yeah. Left or right in terms of
the one directly ahead of me.
Copy that.
Pistol, Tor, particle rifle is
should be the phase pistol.
It should say phase pistol, right?
I think
that's right. I've completely misread it. It says phase pistol. I don't know why I said plasma pistol. So it says phase pistol. So okay. That. Okay.
All right.
That's pretty nice.
Yep, that is easily enough points. Specifically, that would be 7 points of damage, which is enough to inflict an injury. With a stun weapon, we would just treat that basically as an effective hit and stun. So
I'm going to spend the 2 floating points of momentum to keep the initiative,
okay,
and then going to shoot the other guy,
okay.
which will be at an increased difficulty, I believe.
You are correct. It will be at an increased difficulty, up to a difficulty of 3 now.
Okay, gonna do aim as the minor action, and because of the Deadeye marksman, that'll reduce it back down to 2.
Yep.
Bold security, so I'll give you another point of threat for another dice. That's it. That's the word. Dice. So we roll
GM.
3. Let's re-roll those 2, because those are mean and nasty.
Indeed, they are.
There we go. Much
Oh.
better.
All right, that will give you another 4 successes, which will meet the difficulty, plus giving you 2 floating momentum. So your phase pistol your second shot will connect, and with another 7 points of damage, you effortlessly stun them. So, doctors, you leap to the side with your canister. Chara quick draws on both of them and just very easily manages to take 2 measured shots, putting these 2 guardsmen to shame, stunning both of them with ease. They will fall before they have the chance to. I'd say their phase pistols were definitely leveled, but they were not. Their fingers were not yet to the trigger. So yes, both of them will go down.
Okay. Look, you can, Lieutenant, you can come out of hiding. I'm gonna just quickly go and remove their communicators and just drop them down the deck plating or something, so they can't immediately try to alert. And of course, I'll take their weapons away.
Okay. You now have 2 Andorian particle weapons. They are the sort of standard the standard sidearm of an Imperial Guardsman. So they are an Andorian plasma pistol would be rated as having 2 damage with the deadly quality and the intense effect. So not something you want to get hit by.
No. Did we have floating momentum after all that?
You did have 2 points of floating momentum, yes.
Like to create the advantage then that there's a nice place to hide these unconscious chaps. It's like a little storeroom or something to one side.
You could. You are quickly able to locate a section that still has a powered door where you can drag the guardsmen into, and they will both be out of the way.
Good. Okay, Doc. Lieutenant, let's find our way to the sick bay.
Understood. You got a map?
Presumably we brought a nice little what you would call it, layout map of the ship that we've scanned before.
Yep. It seems that something happened with the transporter beam and directed you about 20 meters off course, so you have to. It's a little bit of a detour, but you are fairly quickly able to navigate through the corridors and make your way around to the nav bay. The hallways of this freighter, it's still quite bad. It seems as though there were a few light explosions with their EPS grid, likely when the Orions attacked it. But the deck is still sufficiently traversable to where you can extract what you need, or rather get through the ship and make it to the appropriate location.
Okay. In that case, I'll do the navigation, and you scan for life forms. There should only be another 4 on board.
Yeah,
So
I heard
just
6, so
yeah,
just
6.
expecting 4.
Yeah. So yeah, you scan. Let us know if there's any coming.
Gan.
Yep. Doctor, if you could give me, I'll allow this to be a reason and medicine roll if you wish.
Yep. Okay.
Just difficulty 1 here for you.
Alright, so reason medicine, difficulty 1, without any extra stuff, so just 2 successes.
Yep. So with that 1 success, or rather with the 2 successes, you have 1 momentum floating. Your scanner tells you that there are 4 biosigns on the that are further away. It seems like they are a deck below you and out in a cargo-oriented section. I'll give you for free that they seem to be near what would be an area that you're getting some slight interesting exotic particle readings, which would, if the data you've been made familiar with coincides with the Kemocite. The readings for the size of this cargo ship do not suggest much in the way of active Kemocite on board this ship right now.
Okay. Right, well, we're getting 4 signals. Side note, there doesn't seem to be much active Kemocite going around. So I'm guessing something's been... either they didn't have much to begin with, or they've moved a lot of it off here. Either way, I think we stick to the mission.
Yeah, let's continue the plan.
Yep. You enter the small, serviceable cargo bay of the freighter. It is more cramped than even the sick bay aboard the Aegis. These freighters were not meant to carry necessarily a lot of crew, or they were not built with quite the same capacity for medical treatment as compared to the Aegis, which, while on one hand is odd given how small Earthships are of the era, the Aegis, they at least had the good sense to build it out a little more because they're tending to a crew of over 100 in that case. But yes, Doctor, you start consulting your scanners and find what you think might be an environmental control node, which would allow you to disperse the anesthazine with relative speed.
All right. Well, I found the node. Good. Am I good to set things going? Start dispersing
Go for it.
gas. Roger that. And he'll start dispersing the gas and plug everything in.
Okay.
I assume I need to make a roll for that.
I'll have you make one, call this control and medicine roll. In some ways, engineering would technically be more appropriate, but I will be a kind GM here and allow you
Thank you.
allow you the installation to be simpler.
Feel free to spend a momentum to get an extra die on it.
Yeah, what difficulty?
We'll call this difficulty 2 here, just because it's an unfamiliar ship.
Yeah, I'll spend just 1 momentum.
Okay, that'll be 2 points. That's 2 successes there, so that will meet. You install the canister and begin checking the regulator. You check the both telemetry on a small pad on the canister as well as on the life support system. Whatever scanner you have on you, there is probably some sort of translation function that Crichton has helped you install so that you can familiarize yourself a little bit more with what it's saying. It's a little patchy, but based on, the rough idea you would have as far as analogs with that system would go, there is a pretty good chance that the gas is beginning to disperse now as you speak. Or like it's dispersing to the expected levels that you would want.
Okay.
All good?
Yeah, all seems good here.
Okay.
I guess I'll keep scanning and see if the life signals change.
Yeah.
So,
Or do we want to wait around to see the results, or are we going to head off now?
Can you scan from the Aegis, or does that scan need to be done here?
the changes in biosign could probably be determined at range if you wanted to do it from the ship.
I mean, if we don't need to go urgently, we could probably do some digging and get some information here while we're waiting. Just they're bound to have some interesting data in the medical consoles. But you're cool.
If you think you can access it without tripping any alarms or anything, go ahead.
Well, that latter part's maybe a little harder, but on the plus side, if we do raise any alarms, they won't be on for long. Or there won't be anyone to hear them for long.
Okay.
Okay, Doctor, what information would you like to look for?
Well, I guess if I'm looking through medical consoles, I don't know if I'd be able to access just logs, the ship's logs as a whole. But if there's medical records in here that have some kind of connection, or that might reference what they're doing, any signs of Kemocite, I guess illnesses related to that, or any health effects that might be having on people.
Okay.
And also, I guess, checking up medical records, seeing if the 6 crew on board are all of the crew, or if there might be other ones who are registered here and have medical databases but are off ship at the moment.
Okay. I will ask you then for an insight plus medicine. The difficulty on this task is going to be 3.
Hey. Criminal underworld, or not really?
Oh, I like the direction we're going with that, but I think it's probably not going to come in here, Doc.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't suppose using a computer counts as hand-to-hand combat. You do need to use your fingers to type things, but
Your typing is not the equivalent of a Mokbara strike of some sort.
alright. Are we good with me spending 3 momentum to get 2 extra dice? To try and hit that success? The 3 successes?
Okay. I'm happy with that.
Yep.
Alright, let's spend 3 momentum then.
Hey.
It's
Nice.
4 successes, so we get 1 back.
Yep. I'll go ahead and well, yeah, we just dropped down to 4 on that, or rather, you drop down to 3, then, or rather, it would go to 4. That's what it would net to. So, momentum works out. Doctor, you start rifling through what information you can find on that. Most of the files actually provide you information from the ship's previous crew, the tellerates that were here. This seemed to be a ship designed for fairly routine operations. There wasn't much in the way that would suggest anything with illnesses here related to the Kemocite, but it does give you some invaluable files on Tellarite medical conditions and physiology that you didn't previously have. So these files could be of great use to you in the future should you ever need to treat other Tellarites. This will be something great for review later. This goes away towards helping you deal with their physiology and even some information on like optimal drug types that might be better to treat and that you could use to treat them, or help develop analogs that you could synthesize aboard the Aegis.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that isn't useful to the immediate circumstance, and you are about ready to give up when you find one small file dealing with actually what appears to be a recording that automatically kicked on from an incident about 2 days prior.
Let's bring that up and have a look at that.
Okay. The system displays, and it shows that apparently this was accessed by mistake, as an Andorian officer was trying to consult the computer. All the things. Oh wait, I think I've got it here. This is where the Tellarites kept their protoplaser here. Look, I don't rather their dermal regenerator is over here. I don't understand why we didn't just go back down to the base for this. The other Andorian who's clutching at their arm. Look, the general wants that Kemocite down to the base so that we can proceed with further refinement immediately. And if I have to take a shuttle ride, then my commanding officer is going to be riding my ass on that one. I would rather, frankly, not. I don't want to bother them. I, for one, kind of want to get out of this place. Fair enough, the other Andorian says, and we'll start administering the thermal generator. I mean, we're practically on schedule at this point, aren't we? Yeah, the last bit of it should be stabilized. We'll have the remaining shuttles head up in the next couple days here, so it'll all be over here shortly. I think that they'll, well, I'll admit I'm not cleared to know exactly what they've got in mind with it. Hey, neither of us do. That's quite far above our grade. Quite right. Well, that should do for your wound here. Let's get back before the shift supervisor gets to us. They nod and set aside the dermal regenerator.
There's a base on the planet. Great. Oh, great. You got everything you need, Doc?
Yeah, I think so. There's some interesting records in here if you want to take a look.
Download them and we're gonna...
Yeah, we're downloading.
Yeah.
Already done. Just so send your beeps off to the captain.
Yeah, I'll give a double tap on the communicator back to Aegis.
Okay. Back aboard the Aegis, Crichton reports, Sir, the coded signal has been dispatched. The away team is ready for pickup.
Yeah, she'll just say, yep, bring him back.
Okay,
Just leave him aboard.
Relaying that to transporter bay now. Transporter room. Begin conducting transporter. Wait. He'll place his hand to his comms badge. Sir, burst signal from our sensor probe. Deactivation code was set up. There might have been sensor contact that with the Andorian ship at further range than it was expecting. I don't know, sir, whether they got the readout, but they might have had a more thorough analysis of that probe.
Damn it. Scuttle it. And, no, actually, out of character, sending a signal to Scuttle would probably hit the sensors, right?
Yeah.
Hit the tripwires.
Well, what I'm basically saying is that the probe activated its. I think the probe might have been set to activate it. Actually, no, it was only meant to go at close range. So, it is still broadcasting an active signal, but the Andorians might have been able to see through the cloak, basically through the.
Right.
The illusion.
All right. Have they moved? Jesus.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me give them one more roll here. This will be.
We did like strip down that probe to make it as like basic looking as possible.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy to attribute like where it's from so much as
Yeah.
the other.
But
I
it
am
gives the game
Just,
away.
just,
They
just
might
the
return
fact,
here.
just the fact that it is that they're being duped. Like I understand that. I'm just making sure that we've already laid down the ground rules that that thing is
Yep.
as neutral identification as possible.
I'm spending 1 point of threat here to buy them an additional die.
Eek.
Oof.
Oh, damn.
Let's see what
Can't.
That's. Ooh.
Ooh. Yeah, that ain't bad.
The crew has rolled 3 successes, but the ship managed to score. They managed to roll a complication there.
Can I suggest a complication?
I will allow you to suggest a complication, yes.
It looks a lot more threatening. It definitely looked like something, looked like a possible Earth vessel, but now they're pretty sure that it's duped, and it's actually something a lot more scary.
In that case, what they're going to do, they're going to attempt one more roll here. This is definitely something where they have a focus and they're in appropriate range, but are they well suited to the that is actually going to miss for them because the probe is considered a scale 1, which means that there is an increased difficulty to hit. So they fire a weapon, which Patel, just barely through the sensors you're going, and telemetry from the probe, you're going to see signs of a strong particle weapon blast that very narrowly misses the probe.
It looks like they're firing on the probe, Captain.
She just raised an eyebrow at that. Well, as long as they're not figuring out what it is. She looked back to Crichton. Are they back yet?
They appear to, well, for the moment they appear to be, oh wait, you're talking about the crew. Yes, sir. Transporter room I suppose should properly roll for this task first, which would be another.
It doesn't have to. We could just give it do a gimme, you know.
I mean, they could, but then again, you have the crew does have pretty full momentum, sir. So that should be.
Oh, do we? Are we at full momentum now? Okay.
Oh, hey, wait, I'm
We're
double
at 4.
checking. Oh, you're right, we are at 4. Well, the transporter chief is competent enough, so let's see how they do. That's 2 successes. The ship only really needs to roll 1 in order to.
All right, well, we'll get 1 back. Cool.
Well, the ship still needs to roll 1, so it'd be sensors and engineering. Hey, there's 2
back.
Yep.
Cool.
So you get a point of momentum back, and the GM and Crichton have just merged. He is glowing blue, just T-posing now. Hello, sirs.
No giant koala for you, Crichton.
Oh,
I'm going to
not ascend.
I'm going to spend 2. I'm going to spend the floating and 1 to establish that due to some unfortunate nebulous things with the nebula, they can't really sense what's going on back home.
Well, wait a minute. The transporter task was a difficulty 3, and the
oh, is it 3? Okay,
yeah, so it would be 2 from
all
the.
Right, never mind then.
Okay, so that'll
Yeah.
put you back
That was
down
only
to
difficult.
4.
Bring
Or
back
rather,
down to
5. 5.
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah. So, yes, sir. Transporter room confirms that Dr. Lambeth and Lieutenant Chara are back aboard.
I'll go to the
Nearest intercom.
nearest intercom. Captain, they've transported. I'm almost certain they've transported the Kemocite to a base on the planet. The doc reported that there wasn't much in the way of Kemocite on board, and we came across a log which seemed to state that they were moving it down to a facility planetside to refine it.
Terrific. Doctor, how much the Kemocite's left on board?
Only a limited amount by the looks of the scans.
Worth our time, or could we more focus on the planet side?
I mean, I guess it depends what our goals are, because if it, like...
I'm trying to
Sorry.
remove all weapon status of this.
Yeah, GM, was there enough to be weapons grade? Like, weapon to be used as a weapon?
I mean, with sufficient enrichment, not that this is your wheelhouse or anything, but it's the quantities are decent enough that basically with the energy levels that you relay to anyone who's listening, that'd probably be just a little less than you'd want for a Zindi test probe. So still possibly bad.
Yeah. I'll relay that.
Not enough to carve a thing through a planet. Just
All right.
Maybe a city breaker, basically.
Conley, get us closer. I want a Mako team ready to board that ship the moment we are within close range.
Copy that, Captain.
Chara, I want you to assemble a Mako team and get back ready to try to collect as much of that Kemocite, or at the very least, evacuate that unconscious crew so we can detonate the ship, or scuttle the ship.
Evacuate unconscious crew or do the Kemocite handling. Which is the priority?
She look over to Patel. To make that probe, how much volume is that Kemocite? Exactly.
Can I spend a momentum to find out the answer to that question?
Basically, my question is, do I have to blow? Like, would it take too long to transport all that shit back on board, or should I just scuttle the ship and be done with it?
I'll say it's an inconvenient amount for the. I mean, it's an amount that with a few hours, Romanov could try to process that. But if you get the feeling that you are under threat, then maybe blowing the freighter would be the more expedient way. And it is not so much that if you were to you could probably use conventional explosives like right near a sensitive site, so even your bog standard torpedoes would do the trick.
I can also set it. I can also just put det packs and just set it to a scuttling course, essentially.
Yeah, it is not so much Kemocite either that you are risking like a planet-cracking explosion in the process.
Yeah.
There's not going to be an earth-shattering kaboom.
Yeah. All right. My priority is the Kemocite. Just get the people on board, bring detonation packs, and get to work on losing that ship.
Okay. In that case, Doc, I'll give you a couple of Starfleet security. You're going to need to keep these Andorians sedated.
Understood.
The Makos will handle the det packs then.
Patel, find me that damn base.
Okay. I'll look into my little sensor hood thing and roll some dice, maybe.
Yep, I'll give you one more roll here. This would have been a higher difficulty roll, but I'm actually going to say with the Kemocite sensor here, or like with the sensors specifically attuned to the Kemocite, that is going to be a difficulty of 3 with reason and science, assisted by the ship's sensors and signs. One more roll is going to happen concurrently with this.
Okay. I'm going to spend just one momentum, I think. Or should I spend more? What do you think, guys?
What was that? Sorry.
To get more dice. So I'm spending one. Should I spend 3? Difficulty is 3.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Ooh, we get one back.
ship needs to roll.
Yep.
What's the ship rolling?
Sensors and science, please.
There you go. Extra one.
5
So we get 2
successes in
back.
total between Patel's 4 and the ship's 1. So that will earn you back the 2 momentum. And Patel, it is much more difficult to read out, in no small part because of how deep and shielded it is, but you are getting a reading now that you are in orbit. Signs of Kemocite energy readings within a fairly mountainous location, possibly under a considerable bit of snow and ice, even a glacier, at a location in the southern continent where the freighter is in very close to geostationary orbit.
I'll throw that up on the view screen, like as a tactical display or something.
Yep, you get that image of the surface and like overlays that depict the ambient energy or radiation from the Kemocite and a target lock site showing you exactly where the signature is, like flashing as a dot on the screen.
There's your base, Captain.
How many life signs are there?
Yeah, spend a momentum. How many life signs are there?
Spending momentum gets me 2 questions. What's your second one?
How shielded and equipped it is for any threat. That includes both sensors and weapons, or like shielding in terms of like detecting anything or weapons.
It's like how fortified is the base?
Yeah, how
basically.
fortified. There we go.
Okay. So I will say that so far as the fortifications go, Patel, the type of shielding you're having to get through, it seems like they are actually relying much more on sort of passive systems. So particular sites that are like materials or composites that you are picking up through the sort of ground levels they're using to conceal this, that would make transport and sensor detection a bit more difficult, in addition to using the natural environment to help obscure things and the anomalies around the planet. There are probably some sites that it would be nigh impossible to beam into, and indeed much of the base would probably be difficult as well. You do see signs that there might be like some sort of active transmitting systems that it's a distinct possibility that there are some thinner spots in the ice that when, say, an Andorian shuttle needs to transit materials or personnel, that is how they get it down. There might be a launch bay of some sort that could be opened up. Otherwise, it doesn't seem like they have much in the way of active shield generators that you can detect or signs of ground-based planetary defense systems. You are, however, starting to pick up quite a considerable signature in terms of the biosigns, as listed in the chat.
Yep. So it looks like the base itself relies mostly on natural formations. I am detecting several dozen Andorians. Looks like at least 50 or 60.
She just closes her eyes and takes a moment. There's just a long, pregnant silence from the captain.
With again the whir of instrumentation in the background. Beep boop.
Yeah. Zach, I have a question.
Fire away.
I'm gonna type to you really quick.
Okay. As you do that, one more roll from the other ship, and man, they are not doing as well here.
They need Chara on board, you know?
They really do.
Okay. She will get up. And after that long pregnant silence, she suddenly just bolts up to her feet, goes there, Crichton. Crichton, I need you to modulate the next transmission in this sort of frequency. I know it sounds ridiculous, and if not, your hall I make any translation, but I also need you to send out, in addition to the transmission, a worded transmission in the most basic of galactic common as you can.
Sir, are
Galactic
you
common.
quite certain this is this seems like it would be quite incoherent, sir.
That's the intention.
But you're learning from Deshawn now.
She will say, "Let me know when you're ready."
Stand by, sir. I am getting things set up. This modulation is very unusual, sir.
Chara, I need you to have your teams prepped and ready for that nuclear device.
Nuclear device.
We do have one on board. I need it ready to be launched from the cargo bay, if need be. Or at the very least, prepped for detonation. Don't worry. I am banking
So what
a lot.
What are we shooting at?
I'm going to try to give a good reason why they should evacuate. Especially if my instincts are telling me regarding why that ship is firing at a probe right now.
All right, message ready, sir. Shall I transmit?
She waits a moment, looks over to Shira.
I'm not
I don't-
technically on board the bridge because
Oh,
you're
right.
asking me to get a Mako team
Oh, right, yeah.
ready.
There's another tactical officer presently there.
Yeah, I will. She'll just look at her. I forgot Shira's not there. So retcon that thing. But I did tell the security officer, prep the nuke. She'll look at the bridge crew. I have no intention of killing anybody here, but certainly we don't have
Robert
hours,
says.
or certainly going through dozens of people to even dozens of people that would likely need explanation. I'm going to give him one, so trust me. And she will. Whew. Okay, sorry, I'm panicking a little bit. Deep breaths. Whew. That's me out of character saying that. She'll close her eyes, take a deep breath, and say to whoever is occupying the establishment on the surface, you have violated the Breen Confederacy's territory. This is sovereign soil. You have 1 hour to evacuate the premises before I cleanse it off this surface.
Corresponding with that is an unusual set of sounds that begin to be emitted from the Aegis. With that, I think that given where we are in the time, I think that with the captain's threat, with that basic message sent out, that is where we are going to close off the stream. So that is, that is it for us. So thank you all for hanging with us this session, and hope all of you enjoyed. We are going to be back again next weekend at, let's see, it'll still be 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think that for Greenwich Mean Time, it will actually be 5 p.m. next week because we are, I think, at the we're hitting that daylight savings time transition stateside. So
Okay.
we are going forward an hour. It will not be.
Hour less between the two places now.
Yep.
So Euros are going 1 hour earlier than normal. You are staying the same,
Yes.
pretty much. Yep.
Yes. And then I think that in 2 weeks, or that will last for the next 2 games. Then after the 26th, we will be back on our normal time. So that'll be April 1st, which we have special things planned for that. But until then, I hope that you enjoy what we have with this adventure as the wrinkles continue. So please do check us out. For those in the archive that are watching now, I hope that you enjoyed here, and we will catch you later. See you around.